Hey guys, T-Buller. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Tier 5 cruisers and kind of going over my opinions on what should be the best ships to use for the upcoming rank season that should begin, I believe, next Monday, but we don't know for sure. Before we get going, though, we did recently hit 5,000 subscribers. Do want to say thanks to everyone for supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. But we do have some giveaways to be doing this week as part of a celebration for that. So the first one's going to be on Twitter. So once this video is published, I'll put a tweet up on Twitter, and if you respond to that with your system that you play on and your gamer tag, that'll be how you enter the first stage of the drawing. My Twitter's at @TBullGaming, and there should be a link in the description below. So for Tier 5 cruisers, I think the strongest pick, it was kind of between this one and the second one, but I think the Grasse is going to be the best option for cruisers. Now, they kind of hinted at the idea that they're going to be limiting the amount of each class of ship per battle. So either if you're gonna be strictly sticking with destroyers and battleships, I think a lot of people would prefer to do that. You're probably gonna have longer wait times if you're trying to get into the rank, because I'm just spitballing here. I think it's probably gonna be 2 destroyers, 2 battleships, and 3 cruisers. Again, I'm making a lot of assumptions, one of them being that it'll be 7v7. Second, being that I'm just kind of guessing how they'll distribute the classes per team. But anyway, I think if you're willing to play cruisers and you're able to play them well, I think you can have a disproportionate impact on the upcoming rank season. The name of the game for cruisers is going to be staying alive throughout the entire match. Cruisers are going to be operating at their highest potential if they can sustain their damage throughout the course of a game. You're not going to get these heavy strikes like you would get with a battleship or a destroyer using their torpedoes. I mean, you can occasionally get them with torpedo strikes from cruisers, but it's much less of a frequent occurrence for the normal course of play. But anyway, I think cruisers, you're going to have an opportunity if you play them well to kind of carry a lot of games, and this is my guess as how it's going to go. I've never played ranked World of Warships, and we're just kind of guessing at this point. So anyway, number 1, as you can see from the background game, I got the Grasse at the top of my list. This thing's an absolute beast. I run Rue as the commander on this currently. I've historically run Lemon just because he came with the ship when I got it, and he'd been working well. I'm experimenting with Rue personally just because I have him higher level, as that's why I wanted my Tier 6 and 7 cruisers for the French line. And the couple games I play with him piloting the ship, I think he does a pretty good job. So Rue's going to give you a little bit more maneuverability, a little bit more survivability, and again, if you're subscribing to the theory that you're going to want to stay alive for long periods of time and not get one shot 10 seconds into the match, well, Rue's not going to save you from that. That's just poor positioning. But using the defensive commanders on these cruisers, at least in my opinion, my current thinking is I think they're going to be more susceptible to surviving throughout the match and being able to do a lot of sustained damage that way. De Grasse really has a lot going for it. Very strong guns. The AP shreds. The HE is pretty good. Pretty accurate at longer ranges. I think the ship, at general, you're going to want to play with the mindset of being at longer range, at least early on, to survive, and then kind of move in from there as the situation permits. But, I mean, you can see with these Omahas on the screen here, we're able to hit citadels at fairly long ranges, even though that Selva was one, but you get my drift. There's a couple. And, I think this ship is very strong. I've had 2 4,000 XP games in this ship. Those of you that watch Tactic Angels, he had a 5,000 XP game in the ship with 8 kills, I believe. So, I mean, this is a very capable ship if you play it correctly. and there's not a lot of downside. You do have the speed boost. It's not the most maneuverable ship, which is why I'm kind of trying to keep Rue in the mix. It can angle against other cruisers' APs. You can see we're attempting to do here. Against battleships, you're actually probably still going to be better off broadside, but you don't want battleships to be shooting any of these cruisers that we're going to be talking about in this video. So if you do have the Grasse, I think that's probably the best pick. For me personally, it's between this and the Aoba, which I have as number 2. I just have a really good comfort level with the Japanese cruiser play style, and I might personally, when I'm running cruisers, at least go with the Aoba. You know, very good HE, pretty decent, you know, gun stats all around. You can hit some good AP strikes with that ship as well. A little bit more maneuverable, a little bit more survivable than some of these other cruisers. Not as glaring of a, you know, a citadel like you'd find on the Pensacola and the Nuremberg. Those ships are very easily devastated struck, I guess, from battleship salvos. So Aoba, I got there kind of more on the survivability factor, but the offensive output on that ship is very strong as well. So that was very nearly my top pick, but I think for Tier 5 cruiser games, at least for me personally, historically, my best ones have been in the Grasse. Now I play the Grasse a little bit more than the Aoba just because it's a premium. But either of those are going to be very strong. The next 3 ships, I've shuffled the order around a few times, and you can make the case for any of them. I got Graf Spee as number 3. It's the battleship. Well, it's the cruiser with battleship guns, heavily armored cruiser with battleship guns, German. It's an interesting ship. I don't personally want to be doing. I wouldn't want to rely on the Graf Spee because there is a lot of RNG involved in it. The guns can hit. I mean, it's essentially Scharnhorst guns mounted on it, and if you're lucky with your rolls, you can get some serious damage out of that ship, which is why it ended up kicking up to the 3rd spot. But at the end of the day, it's not reliable enough for me to really go to war with that ship. But I thought I'd throw it in there at the pick number 3. Pick number 4, I got the Nuremberg. This could easily be the top cruiser at the tier, except for it's so squishy and its survivability really hurts. And I think as you go up the rank ladder and you're going to be matched with better and better players, I think the Nuremberg is just not going to be sustainable enough to reliably impact the games. But if you're able to, you know, survive throughout the entire game and be in position to be dealing damage, in terms of the gun system, I think it's probably the strongest out of all the Tier 5 cruisers. You know, just it's a light cruiser, just pumps out damage. So offensively, very strong. Defensively, very weak. So Nuremberg, I got it kind of in the middle of the pack. Next up, Pensacola. I was initially planning on ranking this a little bit higher, but the turret traverse is so slow, the citadel is so big. There's so many problems. There's so many things that make this ship hard to play. And again, the essence of ranked, at least what I'm imagining, is you're going to need the most reliable ships as you go up the ladder. So Pensacola, for me, it's another favorite target for a lot of people to shoot at. I just don't think it has the survivability to really impact the game as consistently as it's going to need to. AP coming out of the Pensacola is devastating. You know, you can rip battleships to shreds with it. You can rip cruisers to shreds with it. The HE is fine against destroyers, but really long reload cycle, really just, I think it's the worst turret traverse on any conventional style of cruiser, possibly in the game at the moment at least. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But Pensacola, I'm not saying it's a bad ship. You can do alright in it, but again, as the most random battles that you're playing in, you might have 2 good people in the game, you know, at any given point. Sometimes they're going to get more, sometimes less, but, you know, imagine how hard it is to survive in the Pensacola playing your average pack of random players. And then as you're going up the rank ladder, I just don't think the Pensacola is going to be able to survive long enough to really be effective. We'll see how it shakes up though, but I got that one in the 5th pick. Rounding it out, I got the Laga, the French cruiser. I know it's not called the Laga, and I've had one Frenchman be extremely annoyed with me for calling it that. But I do call it the Laga, so it's the Ga, if you translate it. I'm sure he's not watching anymore, but if he is, that one's for you, buddy. Anyway, for some reason, on paper, this ship is not that drastically different than the Grasse. I think the Grasse is better reload by 1.1 seconds. It's got a little bit better range. I mean, it's different. It's a different ship slightly, but for some reason, the Laga guns for me are not reliable at all. And I really don't play this ship after having ground up the line. Its survivability is probably a little bit higher because if you're broadsided for a battleship, it's very hard for them to, well, hitting the Citadel is not the issue. Getting the AP to detonate inside of the Citadel and not have an overpen, that's much harder. But, even though the survivability might be up there a little bit, I don't think it's balanced out by the offensive production. So I got the Laga last on this list. That's my opinion, guys. I do want to hear in the comments what you think about it. That's going to do it for this one, though. If you did like the video, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. And stay tuned for more announcements coming down the week about further celebrations for the channel. And we'll see you guys all later. All right, peace.